Jessie Hrivnak's an epic agent joining me from, it's the Raleigh-Durham market. Is that correct,
It is
Jessie?
the Raleigh-Durham market. Yes.
Compass, affiliated with Compass, specifically the Coley Group, an amazing organization there in the
Yes.
Triangle. Jessie, thanks so much for taking time to join the podcast. Great to meet you.
Thank you. It's great to meet you. Great to be here. I appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. One of the things that caught my attention about you specifically is a concept that you've developed that we're going to talk about a little bit in this conversation
Yeah.
that I think is super relevant and pretty unique in the industry. So looking forward to chatting about that.
Thank you
But
for saying that.
Jessie, yeah, absolutely. I want to start out I always start these out by asking a little bit about your background. It's probably the most
Sure.
boring way to start a podcast. I haven't heard any feedback, negative feedback yet from listeners, but I don't know if
Most real estate
beginning,
agents come from somewhere else, so
yeah,
it's probably cool to hear like all the different places that we migrate from.
normally a winding road. Yeah,
Yes. Yep.
exactly. Well, Jesse, let's talk about a little bit about your background. Where are you from originally? What were you doing before real estate?
Sure. I was born and semi-raised in Toronto, and I relocated down to Raleigh with my family in right before I started high school, and have been here for the most part ever since. I had a small stint in Washington D.C., but decided to make my way back, and have been here for a long time. I've loved seeing Raleigh grow. My background was in wealth management prior to getting into real estate. And so I worked for a small boutique wealth management company that worked like a family office. So we managed all access, or excuse me, all portions of somebody's wealth and made sure that all those key players were talking to each other.
Yeah, I feel like that probably set you up for uh, allowed you to bring a lot of really valuable skills to your real estate career. I think that that's probably a tremendous background to have.
Yes, absolutely. It translated very well in a lovely way.
Where'd you live when you were in DC? Did you actually live in the district or Northern
We
Virginia?
did not live in the district. We lived in Old Town Alexandria, which
Oh,
was just, I mean, it was such a lovely chapter of life. It was right before we had our daughter, and it was just, walking down cobblestone streets every
mhm.
day. It is just, your reaction is exactly how it felt living there. It's just a really, really cool place to be.
One of my favorite places, without a doubt. Northern Virginia
Yeah.
is where I call my hometown, and although I moved around a lot when I was young because my dad was in the Air Force, but we
Okay.
always seemed to find our way back to Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C., and that was home for high school and college, and
Oh, wow.
love Old Town Alexandria, and my dad
It's
did
charming.
too. Yeah, yeah,
It's
he
charming.
he lived his office was in, Crystal City when he retired from the
Okay.
Air Force, and, so we spent a lot of time anyway, I could go on about Old
Yes.
Town, it's such a special place.
I
Um,
felt lucky to have spent some time living there for sure.
finished, college there in Raleigh as well, NC State,
Yep. Yep.
and,
Finished college here. Yeah.
great school, go Wolfpack.
Go Wolfies.
We talked a little bit before I hit record. My youngest graduated from there last year. His older sister is a Chapel Hill grad, so a little bit of a
She
house
probably
divided.
Yeah, I was saying this the other day that being a Wolfpack fan, also being a Toronto Maple Leaf fan,
Mm.
I'm just cursed with this like mediocre sports teams. So your daughter's probably winning in that argument for sure.
She would be if either one of them cared about sports. So
Well, there you go. Fair. There's no
their
argument to be
mom
had.
does, yeah. Their mom cares a lot about it, so she's very excited about it. But
That's awesome.
yeah. So, what are some of your areas of expertise there in the Raleigh area? Who do you tend to serve the most? Would you say,
Yeah.
Jesse?
I will say I have a huge heart working with people who are relocating here, um, for a couple of reasons. One is I've seen the city grow in such a cool way. I mean, I remember moving here from a very large city, and Raleigh, I'm going to age myself here, 30 years ago was much different like many places, than it is today. And to see the evolution of the way that it's grown and the way that it has created just this incredible quality of life. I love being able to introduce people to that. And also, having been a part of a family that relocated, it's terrifying. There are so many decisions that need to be made, and to be able to identify that and walk through both of those things with people who are relocating here is one of my favorite things to do.
You're in an amazing area for relocating clients, for having a special place in your heart for relocations,
Yes.
because North Carolina in general, of course, is such an appealing state for so many folks who are living in other areas of the country to consider relocating to. We're not far from
Yep.
each other. I'm in the Charlotte market, specifically in the Lake Norman region, a little bit in the high country. And um, yeah, where you just, it tops so many lists of places to consider relocating to in the
Yeah. It
country.
does. It
Yeah,
does a lot of things really well, right? No
yeah.
place is perfect, but when you're looking on a scale of the measurements of what makes somewhere a great place to live, the execution on so many things, from healthcare to education to, affordability, which has definitely gone up and changed, things to do, culture, food, it just does so much of it well that it's hard to find anywhere else that's able to deliver that.
As I've said so many times, it checks a lot of boxes.
Yes.
And to your point, no place is perfect, but I would say Raleigh, Charlotte, other areas of North Carolina as well check probably 80% of the boxes. And
Yep.
I firmly believe if you can check 80%, that's probably where you
You're
should
good to
go, you
go.
know?
Yep.
So
Yep.
what is your favorite? Can we talk marketing for just a second?
Yeah, I'd love to.
What would you say is your favorite marketing channel or strategy or source strategy for lead generation, I should say, and how did you
Sure.
develop it?
I love this question. I do a lot on social media, and this ties in perfectly well to the clients that I love to serve in that relocation realm is, how can I answer the questions that they are not asking yet? There's such a huge emotional and heaviness to moving that is exciting, but also daunting. And I'm thinking about, what are those questions that a new couple relocating to the area, or a family with school aged kids that are moving to the area? What are those questions that people aren't answering for them that can give them confidence of where they're going? Ultimately, at the end of the day, I am a salesperson for Raleigh. Right. And to be able to answer those questions that are giving them the, oh my gosh, is this the right decision? Right? Because it's scary, it's unknown. And I think when I can pull that into my marketing in a very genuine way, I care, I get excited for people to get connected and fall in love with the city, and I'm answering the things that they really care about, right? There's data and information of homes and average price point and average days on market and how to manage the data around purchasing a home. But my marketing is going to be focused on, how can I create comfort for somebody who's going through this process so that they feel confident making the decisions they need to make in order to get here.
Value-based content and marketing. Well, I think content marketing by definition is
Mhm.
value-based and educational based. Sounds like that's something that you've really embraced and has been very successful for you.
That and connection based.
Mm, yeah.
Right? There is, for a long time, a couple years ago, vulnerability was such a huge buzzword, but it's so real when I can identify something that you haven't even told me is important to you, and all of a sudden you're delivering value around it, and you knew that I needed it. That's a connection piece that is really hard to replicate.
How do you deliver your marketing assets? How do you establish that first connection? Do you focus I know you mentioned social media is your strongest channel.
Yes.
Do you lean into video a lot?
I lean into video a lot. I lean into little teasers about what life would look like here. And then I have resources. So for somebody who's moving to the area, what is it that they're going to care about? And we work with 3 different resources that identify their needs. The first is an Explore Raleigh guide, right? Which is just a curated version of here's where I like to go eat, here's where the parks I like to go to, where I go work out, where I shop. It's basically a Google for all the things that I've given a seal of approval of what life looks like here. Then there's a school guide because Wake County is a massive county and it is decision overload. Magnet schools, charter schools, public, private, traditional calendar, year-round calendar. And so giving them a guide of a place to start is identifying that need. And then the third and the last resource, which is one of my favorites, is we work with a neighborhood match guide. And really what this is it's about a 10-minute questionnaire that identifies what is important in somebody's life and identifying the neighborhoods in which we should start, right? How do these neighborhoods line up with what they are looking for from how long they want to drive to the grocery store to what their weekends look like? So these 3 resources, I create content around them to tease people to want more and then be able to capture their information and get those resources in hand.
Love. So I have spent a lot of time and put a lot of work into a guide I call the Lake Norman Visitors Guide, and
Yeah.
it's again to very similar in concept to what you talked about for the Explore Raleigh guide, and that is places that I know, like, and trust that I put my seal of approval on, right? That I can vouch
Hmm.
for, and I know will provide an amazing service or experience
Yeah.
or points of interest as well.
I was
And
speaking to a oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go
I
ahead.
I was I was speaking to a family the other day who was, talking about, like, what's the right time to come and visit?
Hmm.
And I said, instead of focusing on when's the right time on when a house is gonna be available, because we can't pinpoint that, I want you to spend some time visiting like you live here. And that's what those guides are really designed to do. I don't want you to come and visit like you're on vacation. I want you to go to a workout class, go for a walk on the Greenway, try the local, restaurant down the street so that you can feel what it's like to live here. And that's really what those guides are designed to do. I just did a piece of content on it yesterday, which is, visit like you live here.
I'm trying to pause in between. It's because so much of what you're saying is going to become a reel. I just know it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to overlap and talk over you.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
I
I
absolutely
love
love
that I'm
that.
giving you some good content.
Yes, yes, awesome content. The school guide isn't something that I've thought of, although obviously we know that matchmaking, school districts, and so forth is so important. The
There is
neighborhood.
a
Go ahead.
sorry, can I speak on the school guide really quickly? I
Absolutely.
don't know if they're in all areas, but I know they're here and it's one of my favorite resources and it's called School Up Wake. And I describe it as it's like a personal coach for how to navigate choosing school districts because what parents do is they go to greatschools.org and they look what the grading score is. But that is one piece of the pie of what a school is going to provide to you. And so they work with people who are relocating and saying, what's important to your child and your needs? Is it academics? Is it curriculum? Is it specialized curriculum? Is it athletics? And they coach them so that, again, people have the confidence and they can move forward on what they need to do in order to get here. It's a great resource.
I will check that out. That sounds
Yeah.
amazing. The last one that you mentioned, the questionnaire,
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you so I wonder if you had mentioned that a lot of the content teases or kind of raises awareness for these concepts, these guides, uh,
Hmm.
encourage, followers or those doing some research will want some more. How do you bring them into your world? Do they receive these guides in exchange for an email address?
Correct. Yep.
Excellent. I absolutely
Yep.
love that. I'm such a big advocate for building email lists through valuable content resources like that. So smart.
Social media is your pond.
Hmm.
But if you leave the fish in the pond and you lose access to it, you've got nothing to eat, right? And I think the biggest mistake with the huge drive in social media marketing is that we are just leaning into whether it's TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, whatever it is, and then we're not transitioning them into our ether, into our world where you can actually really build that one-on-one connection, but also you're not reliant on this social media. Like, I remember when Instagram went down and real estate agents are, I'm like, what are y'all doing? Right? Like,
Right,
if
right.
you lose access to it, you've
Yeah.
lost that database that you've put so much time into curating.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just so important, and not to mention the fact that, social media is such a world of distraction, and
Yes.
it's just if you can um, interest a follower into coming off of the platform and subscribing, opting into your news, and you're, receiving a guide or a newsletter or something like that, then you have
Hmm.
their attention, and it's just so much more valuable. That's a topic for another
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
because it'd be a long one, and I could certainly
Here's what's
digress.
here's what's so beautiful too about what it means for the client, right? Because I think that ultimately that is super important. Is if I pull you into my database because you requested the school guide, guess what I know? You've got children and their education and where they go is important to you. And so all of a sudden, I can deduce all these other questions that are going to be important to you. And now I actually know one slice of what's valuable to you, right? Because when you're doing this catch all, it's not resonating, but I can put them on a marketing flow that is specifically identifying what is most important to them.
I love that too. Segmenting interests and priorities. I have a few other guides in addition to, so the visitor's guide took a long time. It's very
Yes.
comprehensive.
It's a labor of love.
It's a labor of love. Yeah. I have a few shorter guides, and they're basically blog articles that I've converted to PDFs that folks can download. One is the 10 best golf courses, public and private, around Lake Norman. If someone downloads that, I know they're a golfer or they're
You know
interested
they're
in
a golfer.
golf, right?
Yep.
Um, and shorter guides, if you do, I'm big into listicles for my blog, the best restaurants, the best, all the things, right? But also, uh, could very easily, I have a guide to the public access boat ramps around Lake Norman, and I
Oh,
forget how many
cool.
there are, but it's one of my most visited pages. It ranks in
Yep.
Google, and that's another thing that could turn into a guide, and if somebody downloaded that, I would know they're probably a boat owner, right? Or
Yep.
boating's important to them, so they wanna be a little closer to the water, but anyway, I
And you
love
know what
that.
you've done is you have established yourself as the connector of your city,
Mhm.
right? So because you identified this need and you have captured that they enjoy golf, right? You can stay in front of them and figure out how do they continuously come to you when they need information about where, I mean, and for people who are focusing on relocation, that's a dream, right? I want people to call me for everything.
Absolutely, yeah, when they need, before they move here, when they move here, and forever. You wanna
Yes.
be their go-to resource when they need something. Absolutely. Need advice or need a recommendation.
Yeah.
I feel like this kind of has segued us into the topic of the wise mind method. I feel like we're
Yeah.
covering a little bit of that. Could share for listeners and for myself the story behind that.
Yeah, you can see how you can see the evolution of it now, right?
Mhm.
So the Wise Mind method was really developed by a need that I identified both in working in wealth management, working with real estate clients, and observing other agents around me. And the need was oftentimes when people are making highly emotionally charged decisions that carry a high level of weight, um, it's difficult for them to get from one step to another, right? So whether it is you've identified a home and you know that it checks not only 80% of the boxes, but 90% of the boxes, and the client freezes, they don't make an offer. Or you have a buyer consultation with a first time home buyer and it goes great and then they disappear, they ghost you. Or you go over pricing and a seller won't accept the very real and clear data that's in front of you. It's designed really to help people make decisions in order to achieve the goal that they want to achieve. Okay. And without being too sciencey around it, it's based off of neuroscience and what happens to our ability to make decisions physiologically when we are under stress. And so it's either a highly emotionally charged in terms of how I feel, or highly emotionally charged into I'm going to never have enough information. And the Wise Mind method is going to help agents get clients to a place where they can make clear goal based decisions. And it's rooted literally in neuroscience and emotional intelligence. And it's incredible.
When did you begin developing this concept?
I began developing it about a year ago, and really started the research of how our brains work, what is happening to different segments of our brains when we're under stress. At a high level, when our stress response kicks in, our prefrontal cortex shuts down. And our prefrontal cortex is required, and its sole job is to help us make decisions, future planning, logical information, and our brain, our nervous system's job is designed to keep us safe. Okay. And the safest place, based on how our nervous system equates it, which is predictability, is home. So the minute somebody makes a decision to, I think I'm going to move, their nervous system is sending out alarms. Is this the right thing? Can you do it? Can I afford it? Am I going to love the neighborhood as much as I do? Are my kids going to be okay? Are the schools going to be as good? All of a sudden, there are all of these warning signs. And what agents have been doing is giving them data, and their brains can't access the data because their prefrontal cortex has gone offline. So the Wise Mind method is going to give tools and resources and scripts and information to agents on how to get their clients back to a regulated place where they may not love the data, they may not love the comps that are in front of them, but they see the comps that are in front of them. If I heard once, I've heard it 100 times. Let me tell you about this crazy client I've got,
Mhm.
right?
I was just thinking the
And
same thing, by the way. Yeah.
right. And I'm sitting here and I'm saying, not all of these people can be crazy, right? What the agent is really saying is, I've got this client who isn't understanding and seeing the data clearly. And because they're not doing that, we can't accomplish the goal that they told me that they want to accomplish. Right? You told me that you want to sell your house so that you can move closer to your grandkids, and you can't see the numbers that are going to be needed to achieve that, right? And so it helps agents recognize, so much of this is have empathy for what our clients are going through. We do this every single day. But if you think about when you walk through your front door, the just moment that you feel, because you know what the energy is going to be like. You're around your stuff, your things, your people. It is the safest place. And the minute people start to rock that, it's like rocking the roots of a tree, and everything starts to go haywire. And our biggest value to clients is getting them to a place where they can make the decisions that they need to make. Information is knowing how to run comps and knowing neighborhoods is baseline. Knowing how to help people make decisions is where our ultimate value is.
Where in the client's journey is this most effective? Are these principles can applied very well during the, let's say, as a seller client who the data all shows that they should list their home at this amount, but
Hmm.
for reasons unknown, the client insists that it should be listed for $100,000 more.
Sure.
Um, are these principles that can be applied through the seller's journey, from the listing appointment to all the way to through closing to selecting a new home?
Yeah. They are applied from step one to beyond closing. And
Mm,
that's what the Wise Mind method actually teaches. So the very first piece of it is You have to have a rock solid intake that gathers the information that you need to help advise your client. And I put those into three buckets. The first is functional, right? Like whether you're selling a house, it is what do you need from a proceeds standpoint? Like what are the numbers you're okay with? If you're buying a home, it is the actual function, how many bedrooms, how much square footage, location, all of that stuff. Then you have the lifestyle need, right? Is what do you want your life to look like? And this is where most agents stop. Some agents don't even get there, but this is where most agents stop is I'm focused on their lifestyle. But there's one step that actually makes the biggest difference, and that's the third bucket, which is the emotional information. Because the lifestyle that they're creating is actually a function of fulfilling an emotional need, right? So, for example, I want to be the house that all of my daughter's friends come to. That's a lifestyle, right? There's a function that I would need in that house. But the reason I want to be that is because I want more time with my daughter. I want her
Mhm.
to be around me. And once you understand that, that emotional need, that emotional desire is what I call the anchor in the Wise Mind method. Because I can focus on function and price. I can focus on lifestyle, but what's going to get somebody to move, I'm not letting go of that goal of spending time with my daughter. So even from the intake, you're gathering information. And then I've actually created a way that through each step of the transaction, from going out to seeing homes to scheduling the appointment to during the actual showing of the property, what are things that you can do and say and identify that is going to keep the client in what I call their wise mind, which is if you picture a Venn diagram, you have your emotional, your feeling mind, and then you have your logical mind. And for some reason, we have said for so long, you got to take the emotion out of it. There's no way you can take emotion out of people's homes. You have to bring it into it and you have to have that overlap. And when you do that for a client, they are making decisions based off of the data and based off of their emotional needs.
How do agents who wanna learn more about Wise Mind Method, how do you deliver the principles, the concepts, and how is that distributed?
Absolutely. So I am in the process of building it in a course format that people can do on their own. There will also be an additional layer where it will be live work. So there's different modules for each section that's going to come with some practice and some scripts. And then there's going to be opportunities to be able to collaborate with like-minded agents in terms of what's working, what's not working. A lot of this is problem solving, right? So the very first step for agents is awareness. You have to be able to buy in and understand what is actually happening for your clients, being able to identify it. And then there's going to be the mastery and the implementation. And so the course will cover that. And then the second phase is going to be actually in-person training. So if people are running teams and want this training for their teams, I'll be able to go through it in a very short day, going through all of those modules and having that real-time practice.
I mentioned earlier, and I don't know if it was before or after we hit record, that I organize a real estate mastermind here in the Lake Norman area each month. It's a
Oh, awesome.
luncheon. We just had our December luncheon yesterday with about 35 local brokers and a few vendor partners as well. Really well
Yeah.
received. I started it in September and it's been very successful. The reason I bring it up is, gosh, if you ever, if any chance I
Yes.
could get you in the car to come down to the Lake Norman area.
Yep, I'm actually going down there in January to share this one of the Compass teams.
Oh
Whether or
yeah.
not that aligns, I don't know, but absolutely I will I mean, it is there's two pieces to what makes me so passionate about this. Um, One, it is what our client it's going to impact your business. Like that's where I had to spend so much time is, a lot of this is emotional intelligence is hard to get into the numbers, right? But
Mhm.
when I started implementing it and I saw how my pipeline started to pick up, how the confidence in my clients started to skyrocket and people were moving through the decisions that they needed to, it had a huge impact on my business. The second piece of it, and I would say the most important, is it is teaching us how to treat people better, right? Like to be able to identify what it is like. If you have ever relocated to a city with your family, or if you've ever sold a home where you raised your children for 30 years, like, no more take the emotion out of it. Like, we have got to be able to recognize that in people, address it, and still help them achieve what they need to achieve. And it's not going to be through more data.
Empathy is a word that keeps coming to mind as you're
Yes.
describing a lot of this process. Yeah, Jesse, I'd love to arrange for you to deliver a talk
Yeah.
about the
I'd be
Wise Mind
happy to.
method to our group. I think that it would be so valuable. It addresses a problem that so many agents, myself included, and those who I refer business to, because I follow up and I stay in touch, and I want to stay posted on how the process is going with my referrals, and I hear all the time, I
Yeah.
just won't make a decision, just won't, like, just nothing's perfect, not just,
Yep.
and it just drags on, especially buyer clients who don't necessarily have to move, or they're looking
Yep.
for a second home or an investment well, actually, investors don't really have this problem,
And
but
but there's still a goal. There is
yeah,
still a goal,
right.
right? And I think I'll repeat this because I think this is what makes this program different, is the science behind it,
Mhm.
right? Literally, what our nervous system is designed to do, how it has not evolved. Like, it was designed to keep us alive. It is having these reactions to what doesn't feel like danger as real danger, right? And once you can understand that, you're right to say empathy is a huge word of it, because it's just recognizing that somebody is feeling scared, unsure, intimidated, whatever it is, and being able to bring them back to a place of grounding. And you can't refute that, right? It's literally what our bodies do. And once you're able to recognize it, one of the pieces that I teach in the course is the universal expressions. Have you heard of these before? Micro expressions.
No.
So there's 7 universal micro expressions, and they're just tiny movements of the face. And once you're able to recognize, like, a surprised face is your eyebrows are going to raise, your mouth is going to open a little bit. It's like if you were obnoxious and were like, right, you had this huge surprise look on your face. Just, it's subtle, it's right. And once you're
Mhm.
able to recognize that, that's now an opportunity for a clarifying question, right? What part of this information were you not expecting?
I love
You're
that.
just you're
When you asked me if I knew what they were, but just the 7 universal micro expressions, I smiled when I
Yeah.
said no, because it sounded, I was immediately intrigued. I was like, "Oh, no, but I can't wait to hear." Like, wait,
It's
so yeah,
I
yeah.
I probably can't rattle them off, but it's disgust, contempt, happiness, sadness. I can't remember the other 2 off the top of my head. But,
But
what I
so
tell people is, like,
powerful, right? So powerful to be able
so
to recognize, right?
you know what I feel like, I don't know that many people say this, but I'm gonna say it. People just wanna feel seen,
Mhm.
right? People wanna feel seen and understood. And when you can learn to do that without them telling you, the trust that it builds is incredible, right? And I don't know about you or agents listening, I want the highest referral based business as possible. And so, how can I continually build trust? It's by recognizing what people aren't saying and solving that before they even have a chance to say it.
People wanna be seen and heard and understood. It reminds me of a quote that I think about all the time, and that is Henry David Thoreau, and his opinion of what a greatest compliment was. And for him, the greatest compliment was when someone asked him what he thought, or asked him what he was thinking, and then
Hmm.
listened to his answer. Uh,
Yeah.
I just thought, like, that resonated with me. I think that probably applies to such a big percentage of humans, that, we want to be listened to, we want to be seen, we want to be understood, want to be
Hmm.
appreciated. All,
Yeah.
yeah.
And want to be cared for. One of the things that I teach in the Wise Mind Method is how to build trust.
Mhm.
And this comes as a surprise to people. So, the 5 love languages, mine is gift giving. And I remember saying that like for the longest time, and I was like, "Oh, that feels so icky," right? But it's not because of the thing that I get. The best thing that I can get is somebody giving me a gift and saying, "This is because I thought about you." And when you combine the element of surprise and personalization, oxytocin and dopamine is released into the system. So pleasure and bonding. Most agents are celebrating at the closing table, right? Like we made it. Except that family that moved down here with 3 kids, they still got to unpack their house. They still have to explore new schools. Still have all of these things that are happening. And when you stay in touch and touch base about that, right? I know your kids are starting school for the first time today in a new place. I was just thinking about you. If I got that
Mhm.
phone call as a mother, I would never forget you. So there's ways that you can build trust based off of what people care about that is an impact not only on them, but also on your business.
Absolutely. I love it. Jesse, how can listeners learn more about the Wise Mind Method and connect with you?
Absolutely. So there's 2 Instagram handles. I've got my personal one, which is Jess Riv, and it's JESHRIV. And then the Wise Mind Method has its own as well, and it's just that, the Wise Mind Method. And there's a form on there for the wait list for when the course is released. And I would love for everybody to inquire more and learn more and have just this incredible impact on their business and their clients.
I'll have that information, of course, in the description for this episode and tag you on social media as well. I'm going to do some follow up as well with you, and would
Please.
love to have you visit our
Yeah.
area for one of our mastermind luncheons and deliver kind of an overview of the Wise Mind Method and share that with some agents here locally. I think what you're doing is really, really valuable and really smart.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I would love to. The more we can share it with people, the more excited I get.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Jessie Hrivnak, Compass, an epic agent in the Raleigh area and member of the Coley Group, which is also an epic group
Yes.
for sure.
Yes, it is.
Jessie, thank you so much for joining the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. It's been a pleasure. Appreciate you.